Hi everyone, thank you for joining, for tuning in. Today we have a very interesting thing that I want to share with you. Some of it is things we talked about, but I think that we are starting to feel some of the full force of the seismic event that we're in. And some of it has very bad and negative aspects, and some of it is could be the beginning of something better, I guess. But we are in a process, so all that is very disturbing. So let's start by let's just share this one. Okay. So we are on November 7th, and a month ago, on October 7th, that was the day of the attack. So today, earlier today, there were all kinds of initiatives to commemorate the atrocities that happened on October 7th and all the victims of that Black Sabbath, as some of the Israelis call it. So we are commemorating about 400 soldiers and police officers and about 1,000 civilians. These are not accurate numbers, but around that were killed during the October 7th attack and massacre. So earlier today, in some places in the country, people were standing silent for a minute. There were all kinds of initiatives and gatherings. So just letting you know, we're 1 month in. So before we say a Psalm chapter, I want to show you the names and faces of some of the victims, including this picture, the last picture of this very young couple. They are still in high school. Their name is Shachaf and Alina, Shachaf Kriaf and Alina Weisberg. Young couple in their last year in high school, wanted to just spend the night in a beach on Zikim. Zikim is very close to Gaza. It's a kibbutz, so there's a beach nearby, very beautiful one, and they just wanted to hang out. It was almost the end of the holiday season, and they were about to go back to school, and they were caught in the fire. Also, there are some of the last photos of the people that were with them. The photographer is actually Shachaf, that is taking a video. So this young couple, Alina and Shachaf, were killed during this attack. This is Romi and Leah, the orphans that they are down here, and their parents were killed. On the left side, on the left picture, you can actually see a terrorist shooting the mother over here in this black car. So devastating. And in this video, they actually show the police officers that saved the girls, and they were speaking with the officers. It's really heartbreaking to see. So we have I can't say the accurate number, but it's in I think there are 30 maybe children that lost both parents, and more than 100 that lost at least one parent, so we have many orphans. It's unprecedented. Complete orphans on both sides. It's just horrific. This is a father and his daughter, a disabled daughter. I forgot the name of her disability in English, but her muscles don't function very well. She was 16. Her name is Ruth Peretz. Her father is Arik. They found the body of Arik earlier in the days following the massacre, but only now, a month later, they actually found the body of Ruth. So again, it's really horrific. So again, disabled girl that was in the party, in the music festival. She loved the music. She loved to associate with people. Everyone loved them. Everyone admired Arik for taking such good care of his disabled daughter. and being so dedicated to her, and they were killed in the music festival. The soldier on the left was killed during October 7th. They were this couple just got married, and a month later, Yonadav, that's the name of the gentleman, he was killed in battle. So this is a young widow, very, very young widow. There was a soldier called Sar Margolis that was killed, and in order to commemorate him, Gold Star, which is a very famous Israeli beer, they issued a few boxes of Gold Star instead of Gold Star, Gold Star, named after him. You can see the English down here. He loved hanging out with his friends over beer and Gold Star, so this Israeli beer dedicated these labels to him. And there was a new campaign against those who ripped the pictures of those who are kidnapped, the hostages in Gaza. So this is just one photo of it. And over here, this is actually a quite happy moment. This is the synagogue of Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the kibbutzes that were completely destroyed during the attack. But the synagogue was not really harmed, and they asked the kibbutz member that is in charge of the synagogue to give them the key so that they can pray and study Torah. So the soldiers could pray and study Torah in the breaks that they have. Some of them are in Gaza, some of them are going out to rest, and they wanted to use the synagogue. So also, I'll just add one more thing. The kibbutz movement is pretty secular, in some cases very, very secular. But in recent years, they started to have this Jewish revival, and there was an interest in having synagogues, and this is the synagogue of Be'eri. Historically, there were synagogues. I assume there is probably one or two kibbutzes that don't even have a synagogue in them. I assume that, but it's different now. In the last 10, 20 years, more kibbutzes actually have synagogues in them. So the kibbutz Be'eri's synagogue is now operative once more with soldiers. Another bad news is a Jewish man from Los Angeles that was killed by a pro-Palestinian protester that hit him. There was a French woman, Jewish woman, that was stabbed in Lyon a few days ago. So sadly, we see that anti-Semitism is not just in the, let's say, the protests. It's becoming physical. It's becoming physical. People are getting hurt. People are being attacked, and it surely doesn't make people feel safe. So just thought I'll add this one with you. I share this one with you, and I'll say that I think people started to realize that the pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas movement is getting out of control. To be honest, I don't know if people won't in the West won't start doing things against these. It just deteriorates, and sadly, this man lost his life. So we're praying for the hostages, for the people that were wounded and injured, some in battle. The number of people that were wounded in this war is really high up now. The last update that I had in the WhatsApp group, I wrote it was 5,400. This is the last time I saw they reported about it. Now it's 7,200. And this is just for you to know the actual number. So I do change in the description of the WhatsApp group. I just write, the last numbers that I have. So the number of the wounded people is up by a lot more than what it was just a few days ago. We're praying for those who were killed and their families to find comfort. The survivors, we're praying for the our brave soldiers in the front lines, and we're praying for the Zaka volunteers. And actually, I'm praying for the Jews in the diaspora. They need our prayers, and I'll add it for the next session, I believe. So I'm just letting you know this is very, very troubling. I was very troubled by that 2 weeks ago, and because I saw where the protests are going to, and it's very troubling. So let's read Psalm 21. I'll read it in Hebrew. You have the English in front of you. למנצח מזמור לדוד, אדוני בעוזך ישמח מלך, בשעתך מה יגל מאוד, תאוות ליבו נתת לו, וארשת שפתיו באלמנה תעשה, כי תקדמנו בירכות טוב, תשים לראשו עטרת פז, חיים שאל ממך נתת לו אורך ימים, עולם ועד, גדול כבודו בישועתך הוד והדר תשווה עליו, כי תשיתהו ברכות לעד, תחדהו בשמחה את פניך, כי המלך בוטח באדוני, ובחסד עליון בל ימות, תמצא ידיך לכל אויביך, ימינך תמצא שונאיך, תשיתמו כתנור אש, לה את פניך, אדוני באפו יבלעם ותאכלם אש, פריימו מארץ תאבד, וזרעה מבני אדם, כי נטו עליך רעה, חשבו מזימה בל יוכלו, כי תשיתמו שכם במיתריך, תכונן על פניהם, רומה אדוני בעוזיך, נשירה ונזמרה גבורתך. If there are any questions before we move forward, you're most welcome. So, go ahead. Okay, feel free again to stop me. I forgot to mention the Misha Berach. We're praying for soldiers from the border of Lebanon to the desert of Egypt. I mentioned in the past, my brother-in-law is in the border with Lebanon, and I have a younger brother that is also in the army. He's young, he's 20 years old. Yeah, we're praying for them and my family involved. So in Israel, I've showed you one of those eggs with new printing going on that is being sold. So this one, beside of the dates and how fresh the eggs are, it says over here, "Beyachad nenatzeach," together we will win or we will prevail. So again, to lift up the morale. These are pictures from earlier today in Gaza. What they're showing here is the scouts building in Gaza, in one of the neighborhoods over there. And the commander over there, the lieutenant colonel that is in charge of one of the infantries over there, was actually showing that in the same room, okay, it's a video, so I just took two screenshots, but take a look at this. They actually have rocket launchers towards Ashkelon in the scouts building. Okay, now this is not a minor thing. This is not set 2 days ago. This was set a while ago. So I'm trying to show you how intertwined the civilian buildings and infrastructure to the terror operation of Hamas. It's not just, and it's out in the open. It's not like in the basement somewhere and the children maybe didn't see it. It's crazy. Yeah, and this is in the same area. Okay, more rocket launchers. In Israel right now, there is for the last few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, there is an ongoing debate about a video that was edited by the spokesperson of the Israeli army. It's a 40-something minutes video of the horrors, the atrocities that happened from the point of view of the terrorists. These are GoPro cameras of the terrorists that the Israeli army got a hold of it. They edit this horrific video of how people are being killed and tortured and massacred and mutilated by the terrorists. It's all from the GoPro of Hamas. It's not AI. It's not staged or anything. This is the thing. And the Ministry of Health actually published that the National Council of Post-Trauma warns that watching this video that documents the horrors, the unbelievable horrors that happened in the Gaza envelope on October 7th should be used in a limited way. In a limited way, meaning it shouldn't go out there. It should be used in order to show it to decision makers abroad, certain journalists, certain influencers, but should not go online. And then they say, and this is really the core of a lot of the discourse that is going on in Israel, the viewing this video or viewing this footage will harm the viewer, and if it will be widespread, it will harm the viewers and it will desecrate the memory of those who were injured and killed, and will hurt the Israeli society and the people of the Gaza envelope. They are strongly against putting it out there. This is like the Council of Post-Trauma, the National Council of Post-Trauma in Israel. So they're strongly against watching that, strongly against publishing it. And I mentioned in the past, and now I actually see that it's here, that in Judaism, this naked violence is a desecration of the dead. So they actually mentioned that, and yeah, it's a part of the discourse. Many people say we should not put it out there. People need evidence. We didn't see the beheaded babies or whatever. Forget about it. Like, we have our own values. We don't want to put out there snuff movie of our people being desecrated. So it's a Jewish discourse. It's a very Israeli and Jewish discourse, and I thought I'll share that with you because this is really part of what's happening now. A completely different note, I want to move to other thing. What you see here is actually quite happy moment. Hanoch Daum is a famous Israeli comedian, and people are sending him all kinds of things that they want him to post because he has exposure. And the guy is saying, "Hey Hanoch, my brother was recruited was called up for service. His wife is pregnant, so he revealed the gender, or I guess the sex of the baby in a different style. And what you see here is a tank that was actually moved the turret like that, and then he launched a pink smoke, as if to tell everyone it's a girl. So that's a completely different note. I want to share the good and the bad things that are happening. What you see here is a little sign in Hebrew of soldiers that came to certain kibbutz, and in the plant nursery they actually broke in, and they said, "Sorry, we broke into your to the greenhouse or the plant nursery. We had to water the plants." So this is our soldiers. Okay, they find the time to take care of the plants over there. This is in Jerusalem. What you see here is a little graffiti, says October 7th, and then it's a very famous Israeli song, "I don't have a day and I don't have a night." Okay, so that's I think something that many Israelis share. Many people are traumatized and distressed by the horrors that we've been through, and now with the actual war that is going on, many people are worried for their dear ones. So this is a graffiti I saw earlier today in Jerusalem. A massive criticism again against the government. I would say that the actual criticism is maybe 20 or 30 times worse. Okay, what I'm showing you is just a bit of the trickle of the criticism. Okay, why am I saying that? Is because there's a pressure between Israelis to say, listen, we know our government is a mess, but now we have to focus on our soldiers. The civilians here need to hold their criticism and focus on supporting the soldiers, supporting those who were evacuated, supporting those who are traumatized. We need to focus on them, and we'll take care of the government later. Right now, we let's put all our efforts and energy on these people. Okay, this is the discourse, not in the government, in the civilians, between the civilians. And but every now and then people are, have to express it, the frustration from the government. So, and then I'm taking just a bit of that and showing you. Okay, so if I'm showing you this, you'll have to multiply that by a factor, I don't know, an order of magnitude, to understand the level of criticism against the government today and the level of anger of Israelis towards their government. So what you see here is an Israeli drowning, and there are many boats around with lots of, they can, I'm not sure how it's got, safe wheel, I'm not sure how it's called, but you know what I'm talking about? Okay, to save the...
Lifesaver.
Say again?
Lifesaver.
Lifesaver, yeah, thank you. So a lot of lifesavers, and all these boats are different ministries in the government, ministries that are not that important. Some of them are kind of made up ministries because of this coalition. This specific government created a larger a government. I think it's the largest one ever 30 something ministries, 30 something ministers. It's really unprecedented. So there's a lot of waste of money on these ministries, and now Israelis are saying, we're drowning here. The businesses are drowning. Those who are evacuated, those who are traumatized, everyone is in like half the country is not working right now because people are recruited to the reserve service. So we are drowning, and you still have these ministries that we need their money. So just cancel these ministries and help us out with these budgets. So this is one aspect of the economic aspect of criticism. In other places, I saw this earlier in Jerusalem. Bibi, meaning Netanyahu, equal Hamas. Okay, just like Hamas is attacking us, Netanyahu is attacking us. I guess that's what they refer to. They are our enemy. He's our enemy. Over here, it's a little pawn in Hebrew. It says Bibi, again, Netanyahu, our prime minister. Bibi Hamas et Israel. Okay, Netanyahu. It's Hamas has another. The root is it also means stole. Okay, or captured, something like that. So Netanyahu captured or stole Israel. Okay, something like that. Okay, so again, that's a little bit of that. And over here, it says in Hebrew, it's not the time for criticism. That's the current government, unless you are an old lady that was kidnapped by Hamas. Okay, this is one of the ladies that were released by Hamas, and it's not the time for criticism unless you are that old lady. Many people were upset with the speech of this older lady that said that the Hamas treated them humanely when they were captured, and the whole process of the kidnapping was violent, but once they were in Gaza, they treated them humanely. At least that's what she said. Again, I'm not sure exactly. Her husband is still in Gaza, and who knows what they've been through and what exactly she was told by Hamas to say in a public speech. So this way or another, she was heavily criticized by the government. Anyway, that's again shows you how detached the government is from the people. Everyone is trying to keep the flames down and not criticize, but they have the time to find people to blame. So this is I'm trying to give you to portray the criticism in Israel. Okay, the people trying to keep it down and keep it together and stay united, but actual politicians, including the prime minister, are saying all kinds of inflammatory saying and criticize other people for everything that happened. Arab Israelis, sorry, I saw something in the chat, so just 1 second. Is the number of wounded, the soldiers on the front lines? It's hard to say because we don't get accurate reports. I didn't see numbers of how many soldiers were injured, but it still doesn't explain 2,000. It's a lot. It's like from 5,400 to 7,200. Again, these are the most recent updates, updated the numbers. So I'm not sure what caused that. Maybe they didn't count properly before that. Who knows? So what you see here is Israeli Arabs in Jaffa celebrating while rockets fall on Tel Aviv. So it's a video, so you can actually hear them talking and laughing and laughing about Jewish people that are running. And these are Arabs protesting in the heart of Jaffa. This is the clock tower square, basically. So it's a very, very famous site. Everyone that visits Jaffa goes through there. So yeah, I must say Israelis are, they don't know what to do with the Arab Israelis. The Jewish Israelis and the Arab Israelis, there's a certain fabric. People work with each other. People, engage with one another. People, I don't know, invite each other. But now, what's going to happen? Like if your Arab neighbor or friend posted something for Hamas or didn't express, how disgust he is, okay? Which is difficult to say because in a way they see the Gazans as their family or their nation, basically, in some cases. Not all of them, but in some cases. So how exactly the fabric of the Jews and the Arabs in Israel, how severely it's damaged, how severely the fabric of society is torn, it's too early to know, to be honest. And what I'm trying to show you in these updates is that some Arab Israelis, that's what they express, and so, in some other cases they show solidarity. So it goes both ways. Let me show you a few of these things. In this case, this man was killed by Hamas. His name is Osama Abu Asa. He's a Bedouin. He's an Arab Muslim man from the south. And there's a video of that Hamas took on his GoPro of them hitting him, and ultimately they killed him. And the family of this is a Bedouin family, and there's a very important how should I put it? I guess it's in their culture to revenge the death of their family member. So they offer $1 million. They offer $1 million for whoever lead them to the people in these photos, in that video, to the terrorists that killed their family member. I don't know if you watched this video, but 2 or 3 weeks ago, I uploaded on my YouTube channel a video of a Bedouin guy that is talking about revenge against Hamas because the way they killed his family members. So in the context of Bedouins, they have their own culture, okay, and that blood, revenging the blood of their family members, that's what motivates them. So yes, it's not that they're against Israel, but the way they express their anger and their will to fight is through that revenge. Okay, that's, again, it's a cultural thing, and I thought you should be aware of it. So again, one of the victims, and I want to say a few words about the Bedouin society. Here's another group of Bedouins volunteering in some farms and greenhouses in the Gaza envelope. Since the workers in these farms, many of them are from Thailand, and since many of these workers were killed, and I think about 50 workers from Thailand, they're not Jewish, they're not Israelis, they were kidnapped to Gaza too, and the government of Thailand basically asked their citizens to leave. So thousands of people that worked in these farms are not there anymore. So there are volunteers that come from different parts of the country to work in these farms and to keep it functioning in a way. This lady is Valerie Hamati. She's Arab. I'm not sure if she's Muslim or Christian. Okay, didn't find out, but she's an Arab girl, Arab Israeli girl, that is very vocal for Israel and against Hamas and against these terrorists. This is a quite interesting moment in the Israeli politics. This lady over here is Iman Yassin, okay? And Iman Yassin, she's a Muslim woman, as you can see. She's a parliament member. She's an Israeli parliament member from the Muslim party. This Muslim party in the last government was in the government, in the coalition. So it's a very interesting Muslim party led by a man called Mansour Abbas. And this Mansour Abbas is a part of the Muslim Brotherhood, believe it or not. So he's from that. It's called the Islamic movement in Israel, but they are from the Muslim Brotherhood historically. But they are against violence and they are against the jihad in this expression, in this violent expression. They are not against proselytizing Islam, but they are focusing on building their own Muslim community in Israel without all these, without the violence. So, as I said, Mansour Abbas is very tolerant, and it was actually in the last government. How sincere his tolerance is, we can argue. There's a lot to say about their approach and how authentic it is and how sincere it is, but let's put it aside. This parliament member of that man, Mansour Abbas, she's from his party, she said that Hamas didn't butcher babies and raped women, meaning she denied some of the atrocities that happened in October 7th. And Mansour Abbas, the head of her political party, told her, if you don't apologize, if you don't completely change your tone, you'll be fired. You'll be out of our political party. Okay? And she apologized, and from what I understand, she's still in the parliament from that Muslim party. So I wanted to share this interesting moment here with you. On the one hand, she tried to express, pretty hawk approach to Israel, but she was stopped. She was stopped by the head of her political party. It was a very interesting thing to see. Meanwhile, in the West, you can see this journalist saying, "Do you think Israel's response is proportionate?" Okay. So this ongoing discourse about proportionality in war. I mentioned that in the past. I didn't dedicate much time to talk about it, but maybe I'll use this opportunity. This whole proportionate discourse, I would say, misses the whole point of a war. It's like not to understand what a war is. Okay, so I mentioned that in the playlist of my YouTube channel regarding the war in Gaza, I uploaded the videos of I can't remember her last name, so a lawyer for international law called Natasha. You can find it. And there's another guy, I can't remember his name, that was talking about the legal aspects of the war, talking about exactly about these terms and how they are misused, and like proportionality, as if Israel should just revenge. Okay, you killed 1,400 of us, we'll kill 1,400 of you, and that's it. It has nothing to do with that. It's just complete twisting the discourse. In war, the goal is to defeat the enemy. Okay, and in international law, it's completely legitimate. There's no one arguing about it. Okay, unless you're twisting reality. Okay, so how do you defeat the enemy? You are crushing the enemy. You're completely disabling his ability or his capacity to launch any attacks on you. And this whole proportionality thing has nothing to do with that. It's about, when you hit a certain target, military target, you're trying to estimate the risk from that target and how many civilians are going to be killed, something like that. It has nothing to do with, all the body count game that is being played right now. So how many, I'm not sure how many children were killed in the attack on Israel, but now they're keep inflating the numbers of people that were injured or killed in Gaza, and 5,000 of them, 10,000 of them, 100,000 of them are children. They're coming up with just numbers. No one can confirm that. Okay, it's all coming from Hamas. So I'll just say that it's really worthwhile, and I don't know anything about international law and laws of war, international laws of war. I have no idea about that, but I'm just saying there is the YouTube channel and the experts are talking about it. So want to start with that. All this discourse about ceasefire and all this discourse about proportionality is just a way to put shackles on the hands of the Israeli army, and Israelis completely ignore that. Every time they hear that's it, like leave us alone. Like you don't know anything. You were not attacked, so just leave us alone. Let us do what we need to do. Okay, no one. It's a matter of national security, and the matters of national security, Israelis are not playing around. So just want to let you know about that. A little joke in this protest, pro-Israel protest: exchange each hostage for 100 pro-Hamas U.S. students. Good for Israel, good for USA, good for Hamas, educational for students. So again, all these protests, pro-Palestinian protests. This is in Germany, live from Berlin. Okay, so there's a whole video about it. This young Muslim is being interviewed, and he's being asked about this whole idea in Islam of occupying other territories and occupying the Islamization of Europe, basically. Just admitting it. Let's say he's saying the quiet part loud. Okay, this whole idea of and I will talk about it. I'm going to make a video about it. But this whole idea in Islam that everyone should come under Islam. That's mainstream Islam. It's like not even controversial. Okay, the entire world should come under Islam, under Sharia law. Okay, so he was just talking about it. Okay, so this is a young Muslim. Okay, he looks, he's just saying what he was taught, and what he was taught is really mainstream Islam. Okay, so I have BA in Middle East history and Islam, so there's nothing controversial about it in the Islamic faith. That also explains, how quiet Muslim countries and Muslims officials worldwide about the attack. There's nothing wrong about it as far as the Islamic law concerned. Okay, so I will talk about jihad at some point. I will talk about the laws of jihad, the different concepts and different interpretations of jihad in the future. I'm just letting you know that it's not a coincidence that no one is condemning what Hamas did, besides like 5 people. And I'm talking about the Islamic world. And I think it was the head of Al Azhar in Cairo that was quite celebrating. Okay, celebrating the attack. Okay, again, the most important Muslim institution in the world, Al Azhar University in Cairo. So don't expect. Again, it's in line with Islam. So if people are telling you, no, this is not Islam, this is not my Islam, okay. So they probably have a new version of Islam that no one heard about it. Let's continue. Over here, these are protests that took place. As far as I'm aware, it's in Washington. So I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with all the generals, Lafayette and this and that, Franklin. There was a statue, I think, even of Washington that they hanged Palestinian flags and wrote all kinds of graffitis on. So again, I'm not sure which one is which. Sorry about that. But this is from just recently. It's like a day or two ago. Okay. Jeff sent me Columbia University. If you see the Palestinian flag over here, it's kind of funny. The world is looking at. There's like a vision test, and they see a Hamas terrorist holding a child, and the world is saying, "No, it's Israel. It's Israel." Okay, it's all about Israel. In Britain, veterans were not allowed to have British flags on the streets. because it's too provocative, and the police admitted we're outnumbered by the protesters, so we don't want to have any problems. So very good. And these are a group of cowboys from Arkansas and Montana that volunteered to help with the farms in Israel. And the responses of Israeli women to these pictures were priceless. So, ladies, the cowboys are here. So it was very, very funny to see that. This tweet, I saw it earlier. It says, does anyone else feel the need to call all their Jewish friends and say, okay, you are not being paranoid? Bella Hadid, her father is Palestinian, and she very much affiliated with the Palestinians, and some funny guy on AI, on artificial intelligence, made a video of her admitting that she's for Israel. Okay, so it's very, very funny, very well done. And again, kind of like what they did with the Egyptian journalist a few weeks ago. So that's AI and the jokes around it. The man on the right over here is Ohad Chemo, very famous Israeli journalist, covering the conflict, covering the Arab world, the Muslim world. Ohad Chemo went to Europe, different parts of Europe. I'm not sure, they specify different countries. And he interviewed Gazans that fled to Europe, that ended up in Europe. So all these interviews took place before the war. It just happened to be very much in the right context, but this took place a few weeks or maybe even couple of months before the war took place, and the Gazans are admitting the hell that is going on in Gaza, the hell that they fled from, and how Hamas is actually corrupt. It's not even Islamic. There is no sexual morality among them. So anyway, they're really talking trash about Hamas, but it's all true, and we know it from other sources. But it's just interesting to listen to these interviews. They arrest people, break legs, they might shoot me, kill me. Again, those who were some of the people, I'm not sure if it's this one, but some of the people were actually protesting against Hamas and sought asylum and ended up in Europe somewhere. So again, just shows you the how evil the Hamas regime is. It's a theocratic dictatorship, essentially. This lady is Jewish, and she posted a video about her getting a blood test done by a Muslim woman that was talking against Israel, and she's Jewish, and she just wanted it to get over. She has a needle in her arm, so it creates a lot of discomfort, to say the least, for many Jews in the diaspora. Many feel unsafe or feel intimidated. There are all kinds of people that are organizing, a way to defend themselves in their communities. So there are people that I just see their reports here and there, but the picture is pretty clear how the Jews in the diaspora don't feel safe anymore. I can't confirm that, but there was at least I didn't see the report in English, but what it says is that a mayor in Montreal, I guess Montreal is divided to different boroughs. One of these boroughs is ran by a Jewish guy called Jeremy Levy, and he decided that if you take off a poster of a Israeli that was kidnapped, you'll pay 1,000, I guess, Canadian dollars. So this is what you see here. I happened to come across a few videos of Iranians I guess this one is in Canada, as far as I remember, that rallied with the Israelis and supported the Israelis. They know what the theocratic dictatorship is, and they are against Hamas, and they are for Israel. Yeah. This guy did a funny video about the Pallywood. Again, Pallywood is this whole operation of fake pictures and videos of the Palestinians being wounded and injured. It's a real thing. We know it. We know about it from the Second Intifada, left and right. Like there were all kinds of very funny videos of a person that was in there's an actual funeral, okay, multitudes behind the person that was killed, and they carry him and all that. And then for whatever reason, all of them needed to run away, because I guess there was some, I'm not sure exactly what the context was. And then the deceased person, okay, the one person that died, came out and started walking and ran away as well. So all kinds of stuff like that. Maybe it was in time of still like battle that was around. So anyway, the whole Pallywood thing is real, and I'm not saying people are not injured or killed in Gaza. I'm just saying that you always have to just don't trust the numbers that are coming from Gaza right now, because it's all ran by Hamas. What you see here is the way Israel is trying to evacuate the people of Gaza. These are flyers basically that were sent over Gaza to call the Gazans to leave. That's how it looks like when it gets closer to the land. Just millions of these flyers throughout the streets of Gaza. Many phone calls are done, WhatsApp texts, SMS texts, text messages to call people to leave. And I don't think I put it here, but earlier today they published a video of the Gazans leaving a certain area of Gaza, Gaza City, and there are tanks just next to them. Okay, and they just leave by the hundreds, and tanks are right next to them. So this whole accusation of Israel, hitting civilians. Okay, why didn't they kill all these civilians that are running away? Anyway, it's just a ridiculous accusation, and Israel really is doing its best to avoid civilian casualties. This is from earlier today. These are, I'm not sure how it's called in English, but light bombs. And what it says is North Gaza right now. This was like around, I want to say 6 or 6:30, and you can see it's in the Gaza Now Telegram channel. So 4,000 people almost said they are sad. Okay, they're sad for the war is still raging. This is very authentic. This is just from earlier today. And that's it. Okay. Terrorist in a hospital, Shifa Hospital. Shifa Hospital is the headquarters of Hamas, if you are not aware of that. And as far as I can understand, they don't report it, but just from the moves that we do know about, the operation is basically focusing on capturing the headquarters of Hamas, which is in Shifa Hospital in Gaza. Okay, so this is it. I saw something on the chat. They're called flares. Flares, yes, the flares. Light bombs. That's what I meant, the flares. Okay, any questions, thoughts, remarks, whatever you want to share, feel absolutely free.
Hello, Itamar.
Yeah, James.
How you doing? I'm listening to these TV and shows. Like I was listening to Piers Morgan, and he was interviewing some people, and they made mention of the fact that Netanyahu actually funded the Hamas, or gave assistance to them or to the Gaza, and the reason was because Hamas is against the two-state solution, and so is Netanyahu. So he wants to undermine the Fatah movement, who are interested in a two-state solution. Could you explain this?
Yes.
It's confusing to me.
No, it's very simple. Netanyahu basically saw the divide in the political entity that is called the Palestinian Authority. This divide happened after the elections of 2006. Hamas was elected more than 50% of the parliament. And then Hamas rightfully claimed, okay, we had democratic elections, we want the power, okay? And Fatah and Abu Mazen said, forget about it, because he's a dictator. And the year later, in 2007, Hamas basically kicked out Fatah from the Gaza Strip. So the Palestinian Authority is not a real power in Gaza. Okay, there's the government of Hamas in Gaza. Now, some of the money of the Palestinian Authority does get to Gaza. Okay, so the reasoning behind it is that Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, he's saying, okay, as long as I'm paying the salaries of, I don't know, teachers, like public servants and all that, then I still maintain, my connection to Gaza. Okay, that's his thought anyway. But then Netanyahu essentially saw this division. He saw that all the attempts and all the negotiations to reconcile these two sides are failing, and he said, oh, "This is great. Like if it's divided, then why should I negotiate for peace? If I negotiate for peace with Abu Mazen, again, the Palestinian president that is sitting in Ramallah, let's say we get to an agreement. This agreement will not be respected anyway by the Gazans, so why should I even start negotiating? It's like just as long as it's divided, as long as these two entities are divided, Fatah and Abu Mazen in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza, okay, then I don't have to do any of the negotiations. I don't have to give any concessions because there's no one to talk to, okay? That's where it's the starting point, okay? And now in the last, I want to say 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, something like that. The situation in Gaza is bad, and there is this old paradigm in Israel that, okay, as long as we make sure that they can work and develop themselves, then it keeps the flames down, which is just, I don't know, that's at least the paradigm. I'm not sure how it's true, but anyway, that's what they wanted to do. So they wanted to make sure that both in the West Bank and in Gaza, they live reasonable life, and then it will calm down the violence. It's a kind of like a short-term thinking, the way I see it, but anyway, that's what the experts recommended. So one of the ways to keep the people calm is through the economy, and Qatar volunteered to hand over $15 million a month cash to Gaza. And the person that permitted it was Netanyahu. And the Qatari delegee, I guess, I'm not sure if it's the ambassador, I can't remember, but the Qatari representative was going from Israel through Erez border cross with the cash into Gaza. And Israelis were raged by that. Like many people were very angry with Netanyahu for that. Okay, why would you give them cash money? This is definitely going to terror. It's not going to the people. And then from Gaza, they started saying, no, it goes to poor families in Gaza, and each family gets $500, whatever. And they had all kinds of funny pictures of the women holding $500, getting it from Hamas officials, whatever. But of course, the next day they take, I don't know, all that money, or maybe most of it, from these families and say, okay, you got your $100, this is just the show, but we need the money for terror. Okay, so that's what was going on. It was stopped. This cash flow from Qatar to Gaza stopped in the last government. The last government said, this is a ridiculous policy. We don't allow that. We'll just allow to get actual things, physical things that we can see. Okay, I don't know, medicine, products, goods. Okay, this is fine. And they stopped it. And now Netanyahu resumed it 10 months ago. It makes no sense. So many Israelis were upset with that, including myself, and many others. Some ministers in the past actually left the government because of that, and now it's blowing in our face. So that's, James. I hope it answers your question.
Okay, so but what does Netanyahu? What does he say to the people to rationalize giving the money, the cash?
He wanted to kick the can down the road. Basically, he said, it's like protection money. It's like the mafia. We won't attack you unless you allow this cash to go in.
Oh, got you. Okay,
So he
I
want to
got you. So
buy
he's a
time. He want to buy quiet, but you don't buy
okay. All
quiet from
right. Okay.
terrorists, and you don't buy
Okay.
quiet from the
Now,
mafia.
look, the other question I have, when they had these free and fair elections that Hamas won legitimately,
Yeah.
was that just for the Gaza or was it for
No, 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 no,
and the
no,
West
no,
Bank
no, no.
too?
Palestinian Authority, both sides, West
So
Bank and Gaza. It's not separate entities.
so really you could say that Hamas should really have been, I mean, based on those elections,
Hmm?
the legitimate government for all the Palestinians.
Correct.
I mean, with so I
I'm not
mean the
sure who
fact
was
that
it.
so how
Again,
did
it was in 2006. Okay, so I can't remember right now the details, but in this it was the Bush administration. So that I remember. And
yeah.
under Bush administration, people told him, you know what's gonna happen? Hamas is going to win. Like this whole concept of bringing democracy to the Middle East, in Iraq, and this and that. They said the most radical wing will win because that's how these societies work. So just like in Egypt, they had fair elections, and the Muslim Brotherhood and President Morsi was elected. So you don't want to do that. You're basically emboldening, not just emboldening, practically giving the power to people that are against your interests. But
Okay, so
again,
then
in America, they had
how
different considerations. They said, okay, but in the
okay,
long run, the people will understand the democratic process and they will evaluate and
okay.
they will
So
reconsider. Yeah.
so how did Abu Mazen say no, we're gonna in the West Bank, Palestinian Authority is still um gonna be governing? I mean, how did he pull that off without like a revolution, a civil war happening amongst the Palestinians?
Uh, Again, I can't remember the exact details, but basically he's a dictator. Have no doubt
He
about that.
is
He's a
okay.
dictator. He has
Okay. But he's
police, the Palestinian
he's
police, and he also
okay.
relies
All right,
on Israel.
but he has a relationship with Israel, the Israeli government,
Yes,
whereas the Hamas don't.
correct.
And he recognizes is okay. All right,
He's weak.
got it.
Okay, he needs the Israeli
He's
Defense
weak.
Force in a way to fight Hamas for him. He's
Yeah.
weak. Okay,
Has
the enclave of Jenin, for example, a lot of the war, like in the West Bank, a lot of not the war, but the operations, the military operations in the West Bank, are taking place in Jenin, which is an enclave in the northern part of Samaria, in the northern part of the West Bank. That is like in practice, the Palestinian Authority cannot enter there; they will be massacred. Okay, so
okay.
there are all kinds of vacuums of the Palestinian Authority. It's very
Yeah.
ineffective
Okay.
government.
You know what it is. Look, this is the last point. I mean, apparently they won free and fair elections back in 2006,
Correct.
but
Mhm.
since then they haven't had elections again. So it's like
Correct.
we won the election. Is it like we won the election? And that's it. We're in for life. Is that
Correct.
their approach? Yeah. Well, then
These are
that's
not democratic
you know
societies.
then they're not legitimate either, in my opinion. You know, there's nobody legitimately running the.
Yeah. Okay, so this is
It's
again, because you
yeah,
grew up in democratic society, then you say that it's
yeah,
fine. But I'm just sharing with you, I
yeah,
talked about it more extensively in the past. The the fact that they're not democratic societies doesn't mean they don't know who their authentic leadership is. Okay, it's
yeah.
again, just accept that this it's a different mindset. The fact that uh, um, they don't appreciate necessarily the all of Hamas members now, okay, because of what's going on, but they do the Hamas does it's a grassroots organization. It really grew from the Palestinians, okay, and from the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, okay, and at least in the 80s, 90s, they did not consider corrupt. Over time, they become corrupt over time. Okay, in Gaza now they blame them for corruption, but historically they don't look corrupt as much as Fatah. Fatah, forget it, they are corrupt, completely corrupt. So they look for the average Palestinian, they looked up to Hamas as saying, yes, they are doing dawah, meaning they're promoting Islam in the education system. They're doing jihad. They're fighting the Israelis. Very, very good. So they reflect the sentiment of the people, even though they were not elected. Okay, so just and let's say if tomorrow there's a fair elections in Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, they will be elected. Have no doubt about it.
Hamas would be elected.
Absolutely.
Okay, before this attack and this, would they still have been elected before? Because now people would say, no, we have to support them because we're warring, have a war against Israel. But before October 7th, is it safe to say that they would have been elected anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. So, to me, the way that I look at that is that most of the Palestinians, they don't want peace with Israel. They don't want two states. They don't want to recognize. They want to destroy the state of Israel. I mean, is that fair to say? If
It's not fair. They actually say that. They say that, including in the recent, in English too. They say that in one of the protests in America. Again, I can't remember where it was. I assume it was Washington. They were chanting. The famous one is "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which means they want all of Israel. And another chant was, "We don't want two states. We want 48," meaning they want to go back to the 48 map. They don't want to the 67 territorial dispute, which was for 2 decades. People were talking about it's a territorial dispute. We know it's not a territorial dispute because they prove it to us in the Second Intifada and all the negotiations that took place after that. So
what's interesting? I mean, I hope the others don't mind that I'm dominating the conversation. If anybody wants to speak,
no,
that'd be great.
This is the purpose of these sessions. I'm trying to answer your question. It's okay.
No. Yeah, no, because I'm dominating, it seems. But anyway, here's the thing.
I'll give you one last question, okay, James, to be fair.
Okay, they're going to make a point. It's not a question.
Okay.
Piers Morgan was on the panel. There was this British person. I don't remember who he was, but he was like condemning the what Israel was doing, and he was saying how the Palestinians overall have not been treated well. And then he said that, but then Piers said this chant, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." That means they want to push the Jews out. And he said, no, that's not what they mean.
They don't have to be intellectually honest.
They want to be free, like have freedoms even with living with the Jews. I don't know. So people have different, but to me, that sounds like from the river to the sea, Palestine free, that they want to take over all of it. And when they say no two state 48, that they want to be, it's their land. So that's how I'll end it. That's my take on it.
The guy who was talking to was Arab, or was he Muslim, or what? Who was he?
No, I think he was a British. He was like a peace activist, and he feels that Israel overall, I mean, for years have been trampling on the rights of the Palestinians, and he feels that this and what Israel is doing is excessive. That they're basically killing civilians deliberately. Okay. Like they're getting retribution for the attack on the kibbutzes, the October 7th. That it's just pure retribution, a collective, like creating like collective response, holding everybody collectively responsible over there, of everybody in the Gaza. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So again, that's completely misunderstanding of reality, but no surprising. Yeah. Anyone else?
Itamar, I have a question on a completely different subject.
Sure.
Have you heard anything about Jordan acting badly in the Jordan Valley? Some of our friends in the kibbutzim there are concerned about a lot of increased activity at the border, and there's really, there's no wall, there's nothing.
There were some warnings a few days ago that maybe there is infiltration from Jordan into Israel, but nothing happened actually. But look, that's what our enemies want to do. They want to intimidate all our borders. They want to intimidate Jews worldwide, or Israel supporters worldwide. Like that's a part of the terror. That's the whole point. So way more used to that than I guess other people abroad, definitely. But there are peaceful borders such as Jordan and Egypt that we are expecting we're expecting these countries to keep these borders safe, not for us, but for them, because it could destabilize Jordan, it could destabilize Egypt if they're starting to launch attacks from these countries to Israel. It could destabilize them because Israel will retaliate, and once Israel retaliates, then it completely discredits the people on the top. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm not surprised by anything right now. I mean, that's the multiple fronts that I was talking about in the past that Israel is facing. It's not just Gaza and Lebanon. Okay, it's not that easy. It's way more than that. Okay, we're surrounded by Arabs. We're surrounded by people that are incited against Israel, and Arab Israelis, so far they're quiet, but who can assure that it will be like that in the future? Those in the West Bank are, the Israeli army is pretty strong over there, but no, it's not surprising. It's not surprising that you'll see things warming up in the Golan, in Jordan, in Egypt, and all that. Yeah,
it's unbelievably stressful.
Again, I'm more worried for the Jews in the diaspora. They're not used to that. We are used to that. We grew up with that. Me, my sisters, my father, my uncles, we all served in the army. We all been through this multiple times. This is a little more than the usual, but still, this is not new to us. Different scale, though. Yeah, it is very distressing.
Well, we're confident in how it's going to end, so I'll say that.
We trust God. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyone else? Feel free. Again, just open the microphone. Feel absolutely free. Okay. So what I want to share with you on the next segment about because I'm making all kinds of I'm preparing all kinds of videos about Islam and the conflict and all that. So I'm reviewing things that I've studied in the past and just trying to find ways to adjust it to short videos for the social media. So I'm just sharing some of what I want to share with you. I'm sharing what I want to do later on these short videos over here. So what you see here is from the Quran, chapter 5. So I'm going to focus on the Quran. Even our Bible study will actually be from the Quran. Okay, so you're going to see, I'll just read different verses from the Quran from chapter 5. Okay, Al-Ma'idah, it's the set table, I guess that would be the right translation. So chapter 5 in the Quran, just for you to know, in the Quran there are 114 chapters, and it starts with Al-Fatiha, which is a short 7 verses chapter, this is the main prayer of Muslims. Muslims all over the world, they know the Fatiha by heart. It's not very long, it's seven verses, but it's not just because of that. It's really a part of the prayer. So they say it multiple times during the day. Even if they go to a funeral, they say the Fatiha. It's just something that every Muslim know that. Okay, the Fatiha, the first chapter. So this one is short, but what comes after that is the chapters of the Quran, the surahs. Okay, starting from the longest one, and it ends with the shortest ones. And the longest chapters that are in the Quran in the first 20 or 30 chapters, they are from the time that Prophet Muhammad was not in Mecca, but immigrated to Medina. So meaning it's in his prophetic career, it's in the last 10 years of his prophetic career of Prophet Muhammad until he died. Okay, he moved to the Hijrah. Okay, the immigration of Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina is 622, and he died in 632. And why is that important? It's important to know that these long chapters from the days of Medina are considered to be the last part of the revelation, and they are more important in this, like for from legal point of view, they are the verses that are applied. Okay, so if, for example, I'm just giving a random example. It's not from the Quran. Sorry, it's not on. I didn't memorize the Quran. But let's say if Muhammad said one thing in Mecca, and 5 years or 10 years later he said something that contradicts what he said in Mecca in the city of Medina. Okay, because like this is 5 years, 10 years later, he's in Medina already. From legal point of view, Muslims are obligated to follow the instructions of Muhammad from the days in Medina. Okay? So it's very important to know that. It's called Nasakh in Arabic, meaning verses from later times in the Quran are more valid than the older ones. So they don't say it's not the word of God. It is the word of God. What he said in Mecca is the word of God, but from legal point of view, we have to follow what he's teaching later in Medina. Okay, so what I'm showing you is one of the really the longer chapter, some of the longest chapters in the Quran, chapter 5, and this is more relevant if you want to understand the thoughts of Prophet Muhammad and his teachings. And what is valid as far as Muslims concerned, you have to go to the longer ones. Okay, so let's take a look. He's talking about Jews, Christians, polytheists. I want to share what's going on over here with you. Those who say Allah is the Messiah, son of Mary, meaning Jesus, have certainly fallen into disbelief. The Messiah himself said, "O children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Whoever associates others with Allah in worship," meaning if you worship the Father, I'm putting in Christian terms, okay, if you worship the Father and the Son, okay, it's called to associate. Shirk in Arabic. Shirk is it's a grave sin. It's a grave sin. It means that it's idolatry, basically. So from their point of view, whoever associates others with Allah in worship will surely be forbidden paradise by Allah. Okay, their home will be the fire, meaning they will go to hell, and the wrongdoers will have no helpers. Okay, so this is a full attack on the Christian faith, and you're gonna see what the Quran is doing over here. So let's take it slowly, but over here it's the full attack on the Christian faith. Let's continue. Those who say Allah is one in a Trinity have certainly fallen into disbelief. There is only one God. If they do not stop saying this, those who disbelieve among them will be afflicted with a painful punishment. Okay. Moving on, the Messiah, son of Mary, was no more than a messenger. He was a prophet. Many messengers had come and gone before him. His mother was a woman of truth. The Quran and Islam love Mary. Okay, you need to know that. They both ate food. See how we make the signs clear to them, yet see how they are deluded from the truth. Okay, so over here in these verses, we see the attack on the tenets of Christianity. But take a look at this. This is 72 verses 72 to 75. I think I skipped just one short verse over there, but that's it. And over here, just 10 verses later, you will surely find the most bitter towards the believers, meaning the Muslims. Okay, again, you will surely find the most bitter towards the Muslims or the believers to be the Jews and polytheists. The Jews and the polytheists are the enemies of the Muslims. And then they say, and the most gracious to be those who call themselves Christian. Okay, so in Islam, there is an attack on the Christian faith, Trinity, in the heart of it, but the Muslims appreciate the Christian people. There is some distinction between the Christian people, the Christian believers, and the tenets of Christianity. Let's continue. That is because there are priests and monks among them, and because they are not arrogant. Because the Christians are not arrogant. When they listen to what has been revealed to the messenger, meaning to Muhammad, you see their eyes overflowing with tears for recognizing the truth. They say, "Our Lord, we believe, so count us among the witnesses." So the experience of Prophet Muhammad and the early Muslim community with Christians was very, very positive. Okay? They don't accept their faith, but they do accept the people. They say the people are very good, they're not arrogant. So there you go. Okay? The opposite is the Jews. So let's put aside the polytheists, okay, the idolatry, those who worship idols, okay. But the Jews, they are right in faith because they are radical monotheists. Let's say they don't have the Trinity, but they're enemies. They're bitter towards the Muslims. Okay, so we see that what is going on over here in the Quran, that what they portray is that the Christian faith is not good, but the Christians are good. The Jewish faith is good, but the Jewish people are not good. Okay, so I hope I try to establish that. And this is just one example out of many. I mean, if you'll just see, the Quran mentions the Jews and the Christians multiple times, but this is something that I want to share over here. The Jews are bitter towards the Muslims, and therefore they are tough enemies of Muhammad. They are theological enemies of Prophet Muhammad. Maybe I'll add one more thing. I can't remember which part of the Quran it is, but in some places in the Quran they actually talk about the Jews not accepting the prophecy of Muhammad. They don't really believe him, okay, that he's a prophet. And one of the reasons why Jews didn't accept Muhammad is because of the way he's narrating biblical stories. Now, all these biblical stories are called in Arabic Israeliyat, meaning the stories of the children of Israel. And just as an example, I didn't bring it here, but in some place in the Quran, it says that the Tower of Babel was built by Pharaoh and his advisor Haman, which is a complete mix of, 3 different parts of the Bible as far as we know it, okay? But they say, no, that's what happened. There was Pharaoh, his advisor was Haman, which is from Persia, and they built Babylon, the Tower of Babel. So just all these things discredited, as far as the Jews concerned, discredited Muhammad, okay? Let's do it together, okay? So what I'm sharing with you here is an earlier part of the same chapter, okay, chapter 5, and it's a famous biblical story. I want to share this one with you. O my people, okay, this is Moses speaking to the children of Israel. O my people, enter the Holy Land, which Allah has destined for you to enter. And do not turn back, or else you will become losers. They replied, the children of Israel replied, "Oh Moses, there is an enormously powerful people there." Okay, it reminds us the story of the spies. Okay, the spies that were wandering around in Israel. Okay, and do not turn back and be the losers. They replied, "Oh Moses, there is an enormously powerful people there, so we will never be able to enter it until they leave." Okay, so we know a slightly different story in the Bible. They are describing how there are giants in the land of Canaan, and we're looking like insects to them. If they do, then we will enter. If they will go, okay, we will enter. Two God-fearing men. The Quran over here is referring to Caleb and Joshua, okay? At least from our, knowing the Bible, this is what we would say, the 2 God-fearing men. That's from the 12 spies, only Caleb and Joshua were actually for entering. So only 2 God-fearing men who had been blessed by Allah said, "Surprise them through the gate." If you do, you will certainly prevail. So this is not exactly in the Bible, but anyway. Put your trust in Allah if you are truly believers. Yet they said, the children of Israel said, O Moses, still we will never enter as long as they remain there. So go, both you and your Lord, and fight. Okay, the children of Israel are asking Moses and God to fight for them. We are staying right here. We will stay in the desert. Moses pleaded, My Lord, I have no control over anyone except myself and my brother Aaron. So set us apart from the rebellious people. This is quite the opposite of what Moses, the way he responded was when God, for example, offered Moses, I'm sick and tired of the children of Israel. I want to turn you, Moses, into my nation. I'm going to get rid of the children of Israel, and I want you to be the nation that I'm going to create. And Moses said, if you do that, erase me from your book. I don't want to be in your book if that's what you do. Basically, Moses was protecting Israel in the face of God, and not the opposite. So this is very different than what the Bible story is. Allah replied, then this land is forbidden to them for 40 years. Okay, so again, clearly we know that after the sin of the spies, the 12 spies, the wandering in the desert took place. So the whole exploration group of spies that was sent to Canaan was sent in the first year of the Exodus. And because they demoralized the people of Israel, the spies demoralized the people of Israel, they were punished. This entire generation won't enter the land. But over here we see it's the same. Okay, then this land is forbidden to them for 40 years. That's fine. During which they will wander through the land. Okay, and it's talking. We know about the long journey in Sinai, but over here they will wander through the land. It's hard to know which land they're talking here. So do not grieve for the rebellious people. Okay, so this is fine. So what I'm showing you over here is that in the Quran, I'm not sure about the percentage. I want to say it's like 20 or 20 something percent of the Quran is biblical stories and many other stories from the rabbinic tradition, actually. And it's under the title of Israeliyat, meaning the stories of the children of Israel. And there is a tradition, I think it's in the Hadith somewhere, that says that every time Muhammad was preaching to the people, they got bored. But every time he was telling the stories of the children of Israel, everyone were like listening. So from a rhetorical point of view, Muhammad was using the stories of the children of Israel in order to be attractive to the audience. This is a hadith, it's not in the Quran, but I can't remember exactly. I'm not an actual scholar of Islam. I studied it, but it's not like I memorized it. So it just goes to show you that in the Quran, there's a lot of biblical stories, and there are differences. There are differences, and that's what I want to share here with you. So we were talking about chapter 5, basically, about the difference in the approach between the way the Quran distinguishes between Christian faith and the Christians, Jewish faith and Judaism, the Jewish faith and Jews, and actual Jews, and how the Quran favors the Jewish faith over the Christian faith, but reject the Jews and much more appreciative towards Christian. Okay, the Christians are favored. And then later we talked about an example from chapter 5 about the stories of the children of Israel. So I hope you found that interesting. Again, because I'm doing a little bit of research in order to, and mainly to remind myself of a few things for short videos that I'm going to put on my social media, I thought I'll share this one with you. Anything else, my friends? Thank you again for tuning in, and if there are any questions, any thoughts, anything you want to express, just feel absolutely free.
I just wanted to ask, this prayer, which is from the beginning of the Quran, which they say numerous times a day.
Fatiha, yeah.
That ends with that God should lead them on the right way and not on the way of those on whom his anger is, and on, or like those who have gone astray. And a Muslim explained in a video that those on who the anger is are the Jews, and those that went astray are the Christians.
Correct.
So that numerous times, if you're an obedient Muslim, you will pray a prayer that will kind of...
You will say that 40 times a week or so, because it's 5 prayers a day. I think they say the Fatiha at least once. I'm not sure exactly, but at least once during the prayer.
So
they'll say it multiple times.
A day, 17 times a day at least.
17 times, okay.
From a young age. So I thought, I mean, if I wouldn't know that it meant, oh, these people are the Jews and these people are the Christians, then you could, of course, say, yeah, of course, I don't want to be as a believer where God's wrath is, and I don't want to go astray. But when I know that a particular group of people is meant when I pray this, then I think that's a bit, yeah, also setting you up against these people in your way of thinking.
Yeah, it's embedded.
So so the people that pray this, you would say most of them are aware that they are praying.
Oh yeah.
Against.
This is very, very basic.
Okay.
There is no chance. If a Muslim doesn't know that, it's shocking. Like, it's super basic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's check the chat. Okay, I hope you're all fine. I won't be able to give, you know, as many updates as in the previous weeks, but I will try to do 2, 3, I'll see, a week, as much as I can. And thank you very much again. This is for me, it's a great blessing to have you, to meet you, to see you, to hear your questions. And that's it. I hope to see you more. Thank you. All the best, my friends. Hey, Paul, thank you. All the best, and talk soon. Bye for now. Bye, Emily.